Welcome back, guys. So today I want to talk about Shocker, which is a movie that I had not seen before, Wes Craven's Shocker. And this is a movie I've wanted to watch for a long time, and now that I'm trying to watch a lot of these directors that I really love, horror especially, I want to watch all their filmography. Shocker is one of those ones I've always wanted to see, I just never had a chance to until I found this at a pawn shop. $2. Awesome. So I got the chance to watch it, and this movie, you can argue it's definitely a movie based on entertainment alone, because this is a movie that's really hokey, really cheesy, extremely cheesy, but this was badass and just how fun and silly it was. I really legit enjoyed this movie. I really thought that this did a great job of being so over the top, but so fun. It wasn't in a bad way. It was just so fun and entertaining the way that the movie starts, the way that it ends, the way that they elaborate on this mythos that kind of doesn't make sense, but it makes it fun. It makes it really enjoyable in how wacky and sensational this movie is, because it really works. And it has a lot of references or similarities to A Nightmare on Elm Street, which is of course another movie Wes Craven directed. And I'll get to that talking about this, but I noticed that this had a lot of similarities as well, in a way. But let's start out with the beginning. I really liked the opening. The opening was really cool. I thought that that's one of the first Nightmare on Elm Street similarities, because in the first Nightmare on Elm Street, it shows at the beginning of that movie where Freddy is building his glove and then kind of sharpening it. In this, you see, without seeing his face, you see Pinker sharpening a knife while he's just like a normal guy, like a normal serial killer, but he's human. And he's just like sharpening his knife, and the shots of him not showing his face, it reminded me of A Nightmare on Elm Street a lot. The way it was shot, it looked interestingly like that, which is fine. It's kind of like a weird homage to it, based on the same director, but I thought that was fine. I thought it was interesting to show that, even though you could just argue that that's just like a hack thing to do, but I thought that it made it fun, and it made it seem like it's his version of a Nightmare on Elm Street sequel, because after the first Nightmare on Elm Street movie, and even the second one, it's like Freddy got way more sillier, and this came out in 1989, which is the time I think the fifth one came out. So it's funny to see that Wes Craven avoided the rest of the franchise basically until New Nightmare, but he did this movie, which is really over the top and really cheesy in a way that Freddy Krueger had become after the first couple movies. So I thought that was funny that he based a movie like this with very similarities to Nightmare on Elm Street, but it's way more humorous. It just reminded me of being like his version of a Nightmare sequel. I thought that was a really funny way of interpreting this movie. And I like how, like I said, I like how it opens with that similar shot, similar scene, and then it has this awesome soundtrack. Like, starting out, it has a badass song at the beginning. The music in this is great. It has Megadeth, Iggy Pop, Alice Cooper. Like, it has so many great different bands in this, like, playing different songs of the currently during whenever this movie was released. They put all these awesome songs, these awesome rock songs in it, and it really works, and it really is so cool. I really enjoyed all the music in this movie, and the opening one is really cool. And they really just worked with the flow of this movie, because this movie is very fun and silly, and it made it badass in a way for me. I thought that was really fun, using this type of music. And the character Pinker, who dies after the beginning, or I mean, actually, it takes a while for him to actually die, but I like that it took him a while, because this movie starts out and it's basically just like a slasher movie where he's literally just killing off all these families, all these people in different locations in this city, and he's like hidden away, and nobody can find him, and nobody knows who he is until Jonathan finds out, who's played by Peter Berg, which I think Peter Berg has been in other films, But I like that this guy who directed Deepwater Horizon and Patriots Day was starred in this movie. I thought that was funny, and I know he's been in other films, but I like to bring that up. Like, oh, he's a great director, and I like how he has got maybe a start in this or a movie before this because he's the lead in this movie. I think that that's great, and he does a really good job. But it's basically just about how how they both, the hero and the villain, are fighting against each other, and it's fun. And I like how the way Pinker can use different abilities, like he goes and can like transport to different people, like as a kind of like as a husk. They become a husk to him where you can control him, but like he can transfer through different people by touching them and shocking them. And I thought that was really fun and really silly, and it worked with the overall tone of it. And I thought that there were things that surprised me about it. Like, this movie isn't scary at all to me, and I knew it wasn't trying to be. And I never really typically get scared at horror movies anyways. Maybe that's why I enjoy them so much. But there's moments in this that actually surprised me. I was surprised that the girlfriend died. Allison died so quickly. Like, she literally was in like 3 scenes. Then he kills her. But I like how she is in the whole movie still. She's a ghost, which is silly enough. Like, this movie is already is. But I like how she's the ghost that kind of helps Jonathan out, and her necklace. They can use that to, whenever it falls on the person who Pinker's possessing, it'll make him pop out of the body. Which, again, it sounds very odd saying this out loud to you, describing this plot, but it's so fun. I really don't care if it doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't think it was supposed to. I don't think that they were trying to make it make sense, because it's not. It's about a guy who shocks people and can go into different, like, go into TVs and stuff. Like, it's not anything realistic, of course, but I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed there's no logic to this movie, and I enjoyed that. I loved how fun and how didn't take itself seriously. It really made it enjoyable, and I think, and out of all the Wes Craven movies I've seen, this is the one that's definitely, I guess the word unrealistic is the right word to use, but like all of his movies that I've seen are trying to be, for the most part, not really grounded. I mean, Scream kind of was for the most part, but Nightmare on Elm Street and stuff, like, or Hills Have Eyes, I guess those are way more not as realistic, and I feel like this one is definitely the most unrealistic one, of course, because it's got a guy who can go into TVs and silly stuff like that, and ghosts come back of dead people. So it's funny just seeing how this one I feel like is the most unrealistic and unlogical, but it is really genuinely fun. I think if I had to rank the Wes Craven movies I've seen, and I haven't seen all of his, I don't even know if I've seen half of his movies, but I feel like this is probably up there. Like, this is probably one of my favorite ones out of his movies, just because it was so fun and so entertaining, and it had such great, genuine fun and silliness, and it was very humorous. And the character Pinker, who's the villain, he reminded me, like I said, of Freddy Krueger in a way, because the opening scene, his catchphrases, which is funny because Freddy had a couple in the first one, but then after, like I said, the first couple of Nightmare films, he became way more cheesy, and this guy feels like it could be like a Freddy, because he's got a lot of jokes that are really similar. Like, for example, before he gets the electric chair, these guys are taking Pinker out, and then Pinker, like, bites this guy's lip, and then he bites off this guy's fingers, or bites his fingers, and just says, like, he like has blood on his face, and it says, finger licking good. Like, that just reminded me of the type of humor that Freddy Krueger had. And it's not like it reminded me of that a lot, and it's not like every other type of humor is similar, but I felt like it reminded me a lot of Freddy Krueger. So I thought that it's funny, just Wes Craven, I felt like, was kind of trying to do a second Nightmare movie that is his own, before New Nightmare came out, because this came out in '89 and New Nightmare came out in '94. But this was just really, really entertaining. It really sold me just how fun this movie is, how fun these characters are, how illogical it is, but it makes such a fun time. Like, it is genuinely so funny, so badass in terms of its soundtrack, in terms of its action. I really like the ending where they literally, him and Jonathan go into the TV, and they go to different things in the TV. So like they go into like footage of World War II, or they go into Frankenstein, the 1931 Frankenstein, or they go into different like movies and shows or footage from something, and it's really funny and really cool. And it looks dated, of course, but it's really, really fun. Just that ending fight was so awesome. That was so hilarious and so fun, and it just really blew my mind with all the craziness of it, that I was just like, wow, this really was such an enjoyable movie. So I enjoyed it, and I'm glad I finally got to see it. There's a lot of Wes Craven movies I want to see, because like I said, I haven't even seen, I think, half of them. So I really, really do need to watch the rest of his movies, and I'll of course talk about him if I do, but as of now, this one was awesome, and I genuinely enjoyed it. It really was just an incredibly fun time, and I enjoyed it immensely.